Hello and welcome to Who is Best, a show where my husband, Lo Claudine, talks about Tifa way too much.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Who is Best, a show where I, Lo Claudine, take games that give you choices and rate those choices in a tier list. 2020 was the year the long-awaited Final Fantasy VII Remake was released. The next year would bring the DLC expansion Integrate, which was a side story involving the materia thief Yuffie. The game introduced many new story and gameplay features, which included a revamped battle system. This new way of beating down Shinra shoulders and oversized rats was a melding of old and new. Action played out similar to Final Fantasy XV with the ability to pause the action anytime to use abilities. The abilities, gathered from equipping different weapons, used up one or both of your ATB charges. Those abilities are why we're here today. We're asking ourselves, which ability is best in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Oh, and stick around till the end for a bonus list.
Beautiful.
I gotta go.
The tier. Cactuar Capter is a mediocre ability of Yuffie's. It lets your weapon bounce around the battlefield attacking enemies. Now this is enough to put it in the lower tiers. The reason it's in the tier is because it's a DLC weapon. Yes, a DLC for a DLC. Not just that, but it costs $10. Ugh. Next is Counterstrike's ability Disorder. Disorder is obtained from Cloud's worst weapon, the Nailbat. This ability causes Cloud to perform an attack before switching into his Punisher mode. It's not worth the ATB charge, and you're better off using any of his other abilities. Barret's charging Uppercut goes against every best strategy in this character's arsenal. Barret is best as a long-range DPS or long-range support mage. Now you'll notice in both those statements I said long range. Why would you want a physical attack that brings him within range of enemy attacks? Tifa Lockhart may be the single best character in the game. She can perform deadly combos and ties with Cloud in her ability to stagger the enemy. With that being said, she really only has a single useless ability called Chi Trap. Launching a stationary orb into the battlefield that can put out weak damage to enemies who touch it seems like an attack best for someone like Aerith. But hey, I guess she can't be perfect. You are perfect, Tifa. Swirling Storm, the worst ability of the newcomer to the series, Sonon. As a non-controllable partner to Yuffie, Sonon is best put to use in any other way than this. The final ability of the tier is Aerith's Ray of Judgement. Yes, her ultimate ability is probably her worst. Not because it's bad, it puts out decent damage, but more to the fact that if you're wasting 2 ATB charges on this, then you have missed Aerith's true potential. The low tier. ATB Ward seems like a clever idea at first. Aerith throws down a circle on the ground and everyone that stands in it can increase their ATB charge. With that being said, there is also the haste materia that performs the same thing but without the restrictions on movement, so... Fleeting Familiar is the next ability on the low tier and the next one of Aerith. To be honest, most of Aerith's abilities are throwaways, as you will almost always use her ATB for materia. With that being said, Fleeting Familiar is just plain useless and barely makes a difference in any battle. Blade Burst is a callback to Cloud's Limit Break Blade Beam. It's nice to have a more long-range attack, and it does have a wide range as well, but his other abilities are just way too good in comparison. Smackdown, like Barret's charging Uppercut, shares the same exact weaknesses. It's close range on a long-range character. The reason this one isn't in the tier is because unlike charging Uppercut, Smackdown doesn't have a long wind-up, and it hits all the enemies around Barret. Overpower proves to be the least effective of Tifa's amazing ability arsenal. Tifa's true strength is building pressure on the enemy, and this attack doesn't accomplish that. Similar to Cloud's Blade Burst, you'll find many better abilities to take its place. Fighting Spirit on Sonon is good, but it's going to take up an ATB charge best used for casting magic or unison attack. Windstorm is a great ability for Yuffie. It's pretty much a wind attack minus the required materia equipped, but it also has very limited uses overall. Banishment seems like a great idea that just doesn't stick the landing. The amount of work required to power up this ability isn't worth it, since battles will most likely be over by the time you do, but it does come in handy when breaking boxes. Sorcerous Storm on a character like Aerith is just plain stupid. Why would you walk your low defense, high magic, long range support and attack mage into the middle of a mob of enemies just to do a little AoT damage? Skip. Lustrous Shield is... oh my gosh. is stupid. I mean, does this even work? The mid-tier. Swirling Lunge is one of Sonon's most effective abilities due to its high single hit damage and stagger increase. But with that being said, you probably won't use him for his damage output as often as you will his support capabilities. Sonon's best ability is Insight. Taking heat off of Yuffie is pretty much what he was built for, and this ability, which works similar to the Provoke materia, does just that by drawing aggro. Brumal Form. Okay, in all seriousness, if you can master this ability, it can save you from some major damage, but at what cost? Infinity's End is Cloud's massive 2 ATB finisher blow. If an enemy is staggered, it will put out huge amounts of damage, but the windup takes so long that you're better off firing off 2 of his ATB abilities, like Triple Strike. Lifesaver is Barret's true tank ability. He absorbs all damage of the other 2 party members, but will not be KO'd unless hit directly. Depending on how you build him out, this can be a very viable option for tank support Barret. Next on the mid-tier is Barret's first and most faithful ability, Focus Shot. Using 2 ATB only increases the raw long-range damage, and it being long-range is very important. Dive Kick and True Strike are both amazing abilities that belong to the Babe Tifa. Again, Tifa is all about building pressure as fast as possible through never-ending combos. Dive Kick has a decent area of effect and a quick wind-up, while True Strike massively increases stagger. The top tier. Soul Drain is a complete lifesaver on hard mode as it gives Aerith a dependable source of MP, which is a huge commodity in Final Fantasy VII Remake hard mode. On normal mode, Soul Drain might be ignored, but on a more difficult playthrough of the game, it is priceless. A counter build for Cloud is absolutely a viable strategy for any playthrough. Counterstrike, when done correctly, can obliterate single enemies. Given its ability to both put out damage while avoiding a hit, it easily lands in the top tier. Cloud's next top tier ability is Focus Thrust. The ability to stagger enemies is vital in battle, and this is Cloud's best ability when it comes to building the stagger meter. Focus Thrust is fast and has a decent range, only making it more deadly. As I've stated over and over on this list, Barret is best used as a long-range support mage or long-range DPS. Because of this, his best ability is Maximum Fury, which simply hands out pain at an incredible level, and at long distance. Cloud's Focus Thrust and Tifa's Focus Strike are cut from the same cloth. In fact, they're practically the same skill. Focus Strike is slightly better because of its incredible combo capabilities. The final top tier ability is Yuffie's Art of War. This is her single best damage dealing attack, and when synergized with Sonon can cut a huge amount of life off even the hardest bosses. The God tier. First ability on the God tier is Yuffie's Elemental Ninjutsu. Exploiting elemental weaknesses is key to staggering enemies. Yuffie has access to every element in the game at no MP costs, which can dish out long-range damage for a ridiculous amount of time. If this were in the core game, it might be the best ability, period. Let's be honest, Tifa herself is God tier. But so are 2 of her abilities. The first of which is Unbridled Strength. Seeing as Tifa is the combo goddess, it's important to use Unbridled Strength to improve her triangle attack. When used on a staggered boss, she will put out some of the largest damage in the game. And speaking of damage and stagger, Tifa's single best move is Starshower. This is an ability that can't be disrupted, hits a large area for tons of damage, and also boosts the damage of your next ability. A God tier ability for a God tier babe. Next ability on the God tier is Aerith's Arcane Ward. Magic is busted in Final Fantasy VII Remake. On normal mode, magic makes it a cakewalk, and on hard mode, it becomes priceless in certain fights. The ability to throw down a ward and cast a spell twice, now that's just plain insane. The final ability on the God tier is Cloud's Triple Slash. The scaling, damage, versatility, and speed of this ability just can't be outmatched. This is by far Cloud's best ability. And that's my list. How did we do? This was easily my pick for Game of 2020, and its DLC only made it better. And I've been very excited to make a list of it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and Bonus round, top 10 Tifas.
Chandler.
Number 10, Blocky Tifa. Number 9, Airgeist Tifa. Number 8, YouTube interpretation of Tifa. Number 7, Cowgirl Tifa. Number 6, Dissidia Tifa. Number 5, Advent Children Tifa. Number 4, Amano Tifa. Number 3, Anime Tifa. Number 2, PS1 Battle Tifa. And number 1 is this Tifa, and this Tifa, oh, and this Tifa. Oh, and not that one.